let me immediately spoil the ending of this film, or the crux of the trial in this film. This is creationism versus agnosticism. And I think with that is enough said about the actual religious part of this film.
End of the review!
I'm done! It is done so well that I will not be going into the details. It's really, you have to watch it. It's very interesting rhetoric, and it makes a lot of sense how you I have trouble convincing either party of anything. And what I found interesting is that the town is very much a we want to remain everything creationism town, and they would like to, they literally say it in the film, they would like to go backwards rather than forwards. And there are places like that. So this is transposable for many subjects in many times. Certainly today's time there's plenty of things that you can transpose this into. So I would absolutely tell everybody to go watch this film. Apart from the rhetoric and the cleverness of it all, is that it's extremely good writing. The dialogue is amazing, especially the lines by the reporter, E.K. Hornbeck, played by Gene Kelly. And Gene Kelly, although we've seen him sing beautifully, dance beautifully, and deliver some really choicy lines, these are the best lines I've seen him deliver so far. I mean, every sentence he says is like, yes, somebody thought about that. It is super clever. There's an allegory in there. It's just, and it keeps on coming. And that's, of course, it's a play. Somebody spent a lot of time crafting all those lines, and it just works. It pops off the screen, and it's fantastic. So Gene Kelly in a non-singing, non-dancing role can shine. And it's even a fairly small role. It's certainly, not the first two. It's probably the number 3 role. Where'd you put people? The young teacher, he should be the main character. He's not. Totally not. No, this is the prosecution versus the defense. And now we got the 2 older guys. You got Spencer Tracy and you got Frederic March. Of course, you have to switch them around in what I just said. So the Frederic March, the prosecutor, and the Spencer Tracy, the defense. And I have to say I like it that way, because I like Spencer Tracy on the defense side, being all clever and such. There are several other versions of this, and one is with Kirk Douglas, and I want to see that, and one is with Jack Lemmon, and I want to see that. So it's definitely all still on the list, but these are television versions, and this is a film, so we're sticking to this one. One of the major points in the trial is the right to think. It is commonly known, and it is certainly on the Wikipedia page, that all of this was an allegory for the McCarthy trials and the situation that was happening. Now, 1960, that's been going on for quite a while already. And people are probably sick of it. They're done with it. You have a right to think. You have a right to have your own opinions. But I don't know how to transpose what the teacher's teaching in school, creationism, Darwinism, how to transpose that to a McCarthyism rhetoric. So that's beyond me.
This movie is actually more current right now than it is for the McCarthy trials.
Yeah, it's more current about the actual subject that's actually in the movie. So as far as I'm concerned, this movie stands on its own, even though it was written to comment on the McCarthy era. And that's fine. That worked for them then. And that's probably why they were willing to say things that you don't really get talked about in other movies. And I like movies that are a film version of a play, because I may not get to see the play. I certainly will not get to see Inherit the Wind in the Netherlands ever. So if it's somebody's performing it, I'm not going to be, it's not going to be anywhere near me. But you put it in a film, and of course you get fantastic actors to do it. But even if you get no known actors, they could still be fantastic, and they could create a vehicle for people to see not just the rhetoric that's important to watch, because they make cases for why it is important not to stand still and go back. We are going forward. We will always be going forward, and why that's important to people's lives, to adjust your ideas because we now know more, and that may also be God's plan. So I liked the how they presented agnosticism in this film, and they even touched atheism with our E.K. Hornbeck reporter, because he's not as old as the two guys going up against each other. He is maybe 45 and not 65, so he's just there. He may be quite high up in the newspaper because he's from the Baltimore Herald, and they're not showing any of the other people. He does phone home, but or phone to the office, only to do his reporting thing. I get the sense that he may be the owner, or he's really high up because he pulls strings.
Star reporter.
Yeah, star reporter plus, because he's the one who talked them into, we're getting the best defense lawyer in the country. And the two guys, so you've got Spencer Tracy plays Henry Drummond, Fredric Marsh plays Matthew Harrison Brady. They're based on the actual people who actually did do the trial. However, it's also fanfic. It's a retelling. It's a story of how such a trial could go, more than it is, and it follows some of the beats that actually happen in real life. But even the writer said this is not a dramatization of real life. This is a dramatization of such a trial, and to make your points. And it's so good. I love the bit where they had Brady was now Colonel Brady because he was an honorary colonel in their militia. And it's like, okay, that gets taken to task. And I thought so. Then they're gonna have to make the other guy also colonel because because they can't demote after this just giving him the colonelship, which is completely honorary and bullshit. But they can't demote him, so they've got two bullshit colonels. One is a temporary bullshit colonel, and one is an actual bullshit colonel. Oh my god! And all of this, it every time.
It's all for show.
Yes, it's all posturing. And all the media was there from the moment that they open. Even before they open, they've got the media. They got a parade there, and the media of the whole country is there to report on this monkey trial. Because the rest of the country thinks it is BS as well. So it's clear that most people, just the general sentiment around the country, around the society, is that this is passé. Even in the 1920s when this was happening, they were like, come on, you can, it's biology. We are going to.
And the upsetting thing is that it's now again current.
I mean, go watch this film, and then it takes down the arguments of the creationist prosecution, Colonel Brady, step by step by step. And that's after the prosecution has made it impossible for the defense to bring up any scientists. He had 6 scientists standing by. Geologists and biologists and philosophers, etc. All of it. They said, no, we cannot admit any science in this courtroom. And this is happening in all sorts of stuff these days. So... And then he countered them with the Bible. The moment that he just picked up the Bible, and big smile on his face, and like, oh, okay, we got him. We got him. So let's talk about the women, because it's a black and white movie and we have to talk about the women. We have 2. Which is better in some cases, because I just reviewed one where there's only 1. We have 2 women. Ooh. the wife of Brady, these are all fairly old people. They're all in their 60s. Brady's wife, Sarah, she is actually really good friends with Drummond, which is the Spencer Tracy character. And that was surprising, but I like it as a story, cohesion, to make sure that there are connections, because Drummond went on the campaign trail with the Bradys back in the day.
And that must have been in 1900 when they went on the campaign trail.
Kind of, yeah. And it was three times to go campaigning to become president every time he lost. And it sounded like Drummond was on the same side, or maybe not, but at least supporting, because he went on the campaign trail, so he was campaigning with. So they must have at some point agreed on their philosophies, and now they are completely opposed.
The difference between 1900 and 1920, whatever, when this is, politics have changed around. The political parties have changed space. They've changed.
Yeah, so, and I don't know enough about American politics of the early 20th century. But, of course, we're talking campaign trails, we're talking maybe there was radio, and of course there were newspapers, but you're gonna have to go to all the towns and make the speeches. So you're going to be, and hopefully you have a car, and they didn't drive that fast, in 1900. So that's a long time. So they bonded. And that's interesting. That's a nice connection. And she really still likes Drummond. And he likes her. And he's just like, yeah, it's too bad that your husband went into like land for in his later years. And I love the fact that these are two older guys, quite older guys. And there's all this history that they're willing to put in. And it's messy. And that's good. That's good writing. There's also a connection with E.K. Hornbeck, Gene Kelly, and Sarah. They also know each other. So he's at Brady's table while Drummond is actually sitting eating by himself. But everybody came to town to do this trial, so they're all in the same hotel. So in the evening they're just chatting with each other like this is old friends, and gosh, do you remember when? But if you pay attention, every scene is important, and all the dialogue that happens is they keep giving you information. It's very well done. I love writing like this. It's just excellent. And I get that they have to make a black and white movie out of it because it's not flashy. But there was a parade at the beginning, so that would have been interesting. But of course the courtroom drama is not flashy. And because you don't see any colors, and guys' clothing is, there's only a few women, and the women hairdo is, as far as I can tell, is just straightforward late 1950s.
Which is correct for 1950. Well,
yeah, but it's not
1926.
No,
yeah.
And so what they've done, I think that's the only thing they've done, is they put all the straw hats, all the ones with the little line on it. All the guys have straw hats, and they never have them on, but they're all hanging up when they're inside. It's like, okay, that's your nod to the 1920s, so you can tell this is 1920s, because you don't want these guys walking around with straw hats. That also doesn't work. Nobody's got hats on. No. So there you go. People in town, they're also like, what, this brings business to town. They're more involved in that than that they actually care about this transgression of a law that's archaic. It's yet another film that actually brings up is this law is now old. Please do something. I've referred to it before, but Victim is a film also in 1960 that said this law is old. This is hurting people. And in this one, I liked the moment that Drummond and the reporter come up the first time into, I think, the place where they're staying, the hotel. These young, looks like hoodlums of town, but no, it's the young boys. Well, the late teenagers that are in the science class, biology class, I think, biology club of the teacher. And they're like, we want you to help our teacher. And that was like a switch around, because you get introduced to this town. It's like, no, we want the old thing. It's the whole thing with the first song, which was the marching song. I didn't write it down, but it was Old Time Religion, yes. And that's how I really think the film would have done with color. It would have been very cool. Yes. I do think that films, if they are in color, that people will watch them more now, because the whole concept of black and white is just not in the people's minds anymore.
With AI, it's possible to pretty soon to colorize everything.
Yeah, and good.
And yes, good colorization.
Rather than the not so wonderful ways that we've seen. And it does need upgrading to Blu-ray, or maybe my version was not that good, but it's just...
1960 should be good black and white quality, so yeah, you need to look for Blu-ray.
The close-ups are gorgeous, and the camera likes to do close-ups, or at least, that. Maybe not this, because that wasn't a thing yet, but... And then at the end you got the two guys, they're in each other's face, and yeah, it just works. So I completely understand. This is a vehicle for older actors, male. Yes, so we talk about the women. We have Sarah Brady, but we also have Rachel Brown, which is a young woman, and she is the fiancée of the teacher who's on trial. Brady basically plays a trick on her, takes her confidence, and has it out in court about her thoughts. And they bamboozle her by saying, you're not allowed to perjure. Excuse me, she never volunteered this information, so it wasn't going to incriminate herself, and she's not yet married to the teacher, so this is a problem, and she had to therefore give the information. But it's still only opinions, so that was nasty. She goes to Sarah Brady, the prosecutor's wife, and she says she is going to talk to Brady, and they have it out, which involves a slap. So Sarah slaps Rachel, and then it shows, wait, the women are also part of this entire world of we keep the status quo, we are going to keep creationism as law, etc. It's not just the men in the courtroom, it's not just that particular group of people that are trying to enforce this law. And it's not just a dialogue with the teacher and the kids who need to be taught stuff, and the kids don't get a say at all. But it's the women as well, and they only take this moment to do that. But they show why Sarah would defend her husband, why she would... she has invested 40 years of her adult life into this man as well. And if the only thing that you can do in life is to support your husband, so it is another statement for getting rid of the patriarchy as well.
Down with patriarchy!
Yay! I don't think they intended that way, but it is in there. And it does get overstepped, because in the end, obviously, this cannot win. The law needs changing. I like that they gave the teacher an actual reason to do this, which was the Stebbins boy. The Stebbins boy got killed, and then the reverend said that he wouldn't go to heaven because he hadn't been baptized. And that goes over the line for a lot of people. And so he has a reason to continue to do this, to make it, to know he's going to get arrested, to know that he, whatever, might or may not go to jail, but certainly will get fined. When Drummond needs some help from anybody, the Stebbins boy's father, so Mr. Stebbins, steps in, and also the local banker, because the banker needs progress. Everybody's vested into having progress. So then you start wondering what is the reason to cling to this past, this old thinking. And they showed it quite well with the prosecutor, Brady. He was the old thought. He was the old life. He and his wife, they're going to be left behind, and she's like, okay, please just leave us alone at this point. And yeah, so it's the future is coming. Yeah, the whole last third of the film rests on the acting prowess of the two main older guys, and that's, if you see the trailers, they're already going there. So you might as well not watch the trailer and go straight into watching the film. It's built up quite well. Everybody's got something to say. Nothing is superfluous. And they got all the actors to back it up. It looks like Stanley Kramer, the director, did his best to make sure that everybody went on board by telling everybody that everybody else was on board. And once everybody was on board, because they thought that Spencer Tracy was on board, he talked Spencer Tracy into coming on board because he had everybody else. That was clever. We like it. But it was good casting. When else are we going to see Gene Kelly in a role like this? Because he's always going to be the star. And if he can shine doing this, and several other actors, and of course Spencer Tracy, it's a given. There's no question. So, big recommendation. Definitely go see it. Probably show it to your kids. We need more of this stuff.
And current affairs.
Yes. And it's definitely current enough. Yes. Unfortunately. So, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.